Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. It has been 24 hours since the boot dropped, a good boot this time, and my reality has taken a major turn, a major breakthrough. So thank you very much for all of the support for those that left comments yesterday's video. And thank you very much for my first super. So that's very exciting for me. I wanted to touch base and talk about this because you need to be kind of prepared yourself for what might be coming down the path for you. Because if you're on a spiritual awakening, or more to the point, if you have come from a past of a lot of trauma and suffer from a lot of complex post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms or PTSD, all the trauma base, and those that have been following me know that I personally believe that 100% of the population has trauma. And we just cope and deal with it in different ways. And when the awakening comes along, it takes away all of our coping strategies that we've previously used, so that we have to face said trauma and shadows and coping mechanisms and inner child wounds and a whole gamut of stuff that kind of exacerbates complex post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms to the nth degree. Because in our awakenings, when we take away all those comfy coping mechanisms that kept us in a false sense of control, and the ego begins to disintegrate, all of those things that we repressed and depressed and shoved down, all the emotions, all of the inner children wounds, all of the fractured aspects of self come back up to be reintegrated into our wholeness. And that process is exceptionally stress-inducing, because sitting in the emotions that you avoided doesn't feel good. It feels, in fact, torturous at times. Abjunct terror is not an energy that I have enjoyed, nor has been fear, anxiety, at times paranoia, at times a lot of anxiety. To be honest, I'm quite comfortable in grief at this stage. It's a lot easier to deal with than some of the fear-based energies. And I've experienced so much fear in the last year and a half that it's been very difficult to regulate your nervous system. So you're getting doubly hit, because not only on the physical is the Kundalini just zapping your system, purging all of those things out. So your nervous system feels like it's getting fried. There's days where, it feels like electricity is just flying over top of you. Resulting in physical sensations that are very unpleasant, but the emotional sensations of releasing fear are even more unpleasant. If I look back at the last 3 years, I can kind of see that the first year was the year of grief. I was a lot of tears every single day and a lot of purging. I got quite comfortable with that over time. And then I moved into fear, anxiety, and then I experienced multiple rounds of what is known as a spiritual crisis or spiritual emergency or Kundalini syndrome. And that's when you are not in balance or in flow with the energy. It's too much, too intense, and can lead to a large number of difficult symptoms that you need to process through. So be aware of those terms, Kundalini syndrome, and you can go do a little deep dive into that if you think that perhaps that's something that you are facing, or spiritual crisis. I have done videos on spiritual crisis in the Dark Night of the Soul playlist. Please check that out. And so after my year of fear, I've been trying to regulate this last year, a year of recovery, but still going back into the depths, because when you feel like your sense of safety has all been taken away from you and reality has completely disintegrated, it's very hard to feel grounded. That's why this last year I've spent an exceedingly large amount of time lying in the grass in my back garden. I look back at my photos and it's like, oh, there I am lying in the grass again. There I am lying in the grass again. And that was all I could do on many, many days where the energy was so intense and so extreme. Was to spend a lot of time grounding myself as much as possible, because the thinking mind was out of control. And my thinking mind was spinning into hypervigilance at such a rapid rate, it was very difficult to control. And fear is a huge part of this Kundalini awakening. We have fear kind of embedded deep within our tissue from our inner child wounds when we weren't able to express our fears in a safe environment. So we repress them. I like to look at it like a zip file. We just zipped that up and said, I'm not allowed to feel these things, so I'm going to shove that deep inside. And in your awakening, what happens is those zip files expand. And when they expand, first, your physical gets a lot of uncomfortable aches and pains. And then it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen those mushrooms that go and they send out all these spores. So energetically, it's like within you, all these spores of emotions get released. And then you're just flooded with fear and terror and sometimes extreme paranoia. And it's been very difficult to master the monkey mind for me in this awakening, because my awakening seemed to be going along just fine until I found out certain truths 18 or so months ago that just shattered my reality. And, you know, it could very well be compared to the psychological perspective of having a nervous breakdown. From the spiritual perspective, it would be known as a spiritual crisis. So again, I've talked a lot of my videos that we can be having an experience, and depending on the viewpoint in which you look at it, it's still the same experience, but others will define it differently through their own lens of expertise. Because I knew I was having a Kundalini awakening and I was having a very profound spiritual experience, otherwise known as a shaman's initiation, I didn't want to seek out help from a psychological or medical point of view, because I knew for me personally that wasn't going to help me with the what I was going through. What was going to help me was spiritual practices. So I doubled down even harder into my spiritual practices of grounding, of breath work, of heavier foods, grounding types of foods, of affirmation work, of relaxation, mindfulness, of like, and I mean, I have a whole list. Please check out the grounding playlists or the Dark Night of the Soul playlist if you're struggling with those experiences. But one thing that I found very frustrating was the fact that even within the spiritual community, a lot of people didn't understand what I was going through and would say very minimizing types of comments like, just change your thinking. Well, thanks, Sherlock. If I could just change my thinking, obviously there wouldn't be a problem. But anybody that has complex post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD or OCD or intrusive thoughts knows that just changing your thinking is a really kind of insensitive and tone deaf response to somebody who would like nothing more than to change their thinking. You know, it's not like controlling your thoughts when you have a long history of being in hypervigilance, which is a physical response. It's a physiological response to your trauma. So your body holds a charge of fear or terror or anxiety or panic, and it holds on to this. So it's like a little electrical charge that's free radically roaming through your nervous system that can be triggered by external stimuli, and it doesn't need to be necessarily a trigger that makes sense to somebody else. It makes sense to your nervous system. So it could be a tone of voice that somebody speaks to you with, or a look. You know, I can remember as a child getting the look and being scared out of my fucking tree, because that meant I was about to get in a whole lot of hurt and get punished severely. Same with the tone of voice. And I can remember I was having one conversation one day with my lawyer, and he was talking to me in a very assertive, kind of mildly insulting or diminutive tone. And after the phone call, I hung up the phone and I landed on the floor having a panic attack. And it was nothing that he had said in the conversation that should have led to a panic attack, but it was the tone in which was used. Also, with emotional flashbacks, you can experience just a smell of something might trigger you, or it's a sensory memory, it's a sensory flashback. So it's not a mental process. And so to say to somebody, you need to control your mind, when it isn't the mind that is responding, it is your physiology. It's the chemistry within your body that triggers a release of these emotions that have been stored in you from the time you were a child. You know, so maybe for you, it's a glass of milk. And you'll be presented with a glass of milk, and you have a glass of milk, and the taste and the flavor sends you back to, because it may be just the temperature of it might be a little bit warm, or it might be a little bit off, or any little small nuanced thing can trigger an emotional flashback. If you experience emotional flashbacks, please get the book, Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. I've recommended it multiple times throughout my journey on this channel. It will make you feel a little bit more grounded in reality and a little less shamed, because it is shame-inducing when you hear concepts like, well, you need to think happy thoughts, or you need to change your reality, or you're going to manifest bad things if you don't change your thinking. And then you're like, oh my God, that's just like a snowball effect of like absolute, oh no, if I don't change my thoughts, then these things are really going to happen, and it's going to really go wrong. And then it's a spiral into sometimes what can be very, very terrifying experience. So I wanted to mention that because when you're having a physiological response that is trauma that is stored in you, different triggers are going to come along on your awakening and poke those. And it is actually for your highest and greatest good, although it doesn't feel like it. Because when they get released, and when we sit with those energies and nurture ourselves through those energies, it does get better over time. But it takes a lot of time. I've been doing this for 2 years, trying to regulate my nervous system, trying to get back grounded, trying to control the monkey mind, trying to do all these things. And at the same time I'm doing all of that, I'm trying to, survive, which is when you've been in survival mode your entire life. To be in thrive mode is unfamiliar. You have no idea what that is. You go through life and think, if I could only get there, then I'd be okay. But the getting there is a very slow, nuanced, delicate, gentle process to regulate a nervous system. And then when you do get there to some goal that you have set, it's highly triggering. It is very highly triggering. You know, I would love nothing more than for yesterday to have gone like, I got this, and then have some TV moment, you know, where you see somebody get a goal, like they pass a test or they get accepted to college, and then they're all jumping up and down and going, yay, this is so wonderful, you've earned it, this is so great. You know, those TV moments. Yeah, that's not what it feels like when you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It feels like, what the hell is happening? Oh my God. Hold myself together. I don't know what this experience is. I don't know what these feelings are. I'd better ground myself, because wait a second, is the other boot gonna drop? Is like, what could go wrong? Maybe this isn't gonna really happen. Maybe they're gonna figure something out and then call me and tell me it was wrong. Or maybe, like, that's where my mind went. My mind went immediately into hypervigilance, and I spent the majority of the day trying to rest, relax, and restore, because I had U-Talk booked, and then I had clients. So I was like, okay, I need to like ground this. I need to figure out a way to control this, because this, as soon as you're into a new energy and unfamiliar territory, it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel, what is safe? Protecting yourself, trying to micromanage and control, how to survive in the worst situations. You don't know how to respond to good things. You think, well, this is going to turn into a disaster somehow, and I better control my mind, because people are telling me that I'm going to manifest a disaster if I can't control my intrusive thoughts. So first, there is no controlling your intrusive thoughts. Those will just come. But there are tools and techniques in which one can use to reprogram the mind. And I have been reprogramming my mind for 5 solid years. And it is a long and arduous process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So I have spoken about in many, many of my videos affirmation work. And for me personally, using somebody else's affirmations that are me repeating, I am this, I am that, it is not as effective as me making my own affirmations and speaking with my voice to my inner child, the things that I need to hear. You are safe. You are okay. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is working out for your favor. You can trust in God. So let's also add into the mix a spiritual component into the processing of new experiences through a spiritual lens. Learning to trust God, to trust the universe, to trust source, whatever you want to call it. It's just linguistics. Learning to trust that things are going to go your way when your entire life it's been a shit show of disaster after disaster after disaster is a very difficult challenge. Learning to have faith, to cultivate trust and faith in spirit, to be guiding you to your highest and greatest good is going to take a lot of affirmation work. I listen to my affirmations all through the night, reminding me that everything is working out. I've put in the work. Everything is going to be okay, because I was so highly triggered that if something good happens, something bad will take it away. Because that is the programming that is deeply embedded into my nervous system. Do I wish it was different? Sure. Is there a quick cure? Nope. I've been on my own healing journey for over 30 years, trying to find my way out of suffering through my education, through my personal research, through my own attempting this, attempting that, attempting this. And there are good programs out there that can help facilitate you to learn more about yourself. I do think cognitive behavioral therapy has uses. I do think dialectical behavioral therapy has uses. And they can teach you the connection between your mind and your behaviors. But ultimately, at the root of it is, if you don't have a physical component built into your healing, you are not going to be able to overcome a lot of these programs, because you can't just program the mind and change the behaviors without altering the body. The body is the vehicle. And so what I am recommending to everybody, because it's what it has worked most for me, is to get into the soma and help clear out those little memory chips, those micro zip files that are holding on to the fear. And so what has made the most change, because I was in and out of counseling my entire life, but what has made the most change is the incorporating of body work. So when I talk about body work in your attempts to try to heal any complex post-traumatic stress disorder, any trauma of any sort, trigger point therapy, I have done videos on that. It's in the body playlist. In fact, check out the body playlist. But trigger point therapy is something I use every single day. I have not gone a day where I don't use trigger point therapy. Other types of therapies you can use are suction cups, cupping, to create a suction and pull out. So trigger point is massaging in to the soma, into the muscles and the fascia, and suctions are pulling out. Use both. Massage therapy, if you can afford it, or if you can't, get yourself an at-home, if it's all tension in your shoulders or your lower back, you can get shiatsu massage tools or a massage gun. I absolutely love my massage gun. I use that thing everywhere, especially on my chest, to get into the muscles in between the ribs, because those can be hard to get into. So that's a great tool. Using, of course, your hands. Massage through hydrotherapy, if you have access to a hot tub where you can sit on a jet for a period of time, is going to also help release and soften the fascia. So I did that yesterday, which was great to just help. It also is very relaxing, because hydrotherapy and hot cold therapy is very, very useful. So I always take cold showers, ice cold showers. And then it's sometimes nice to go sit in the hot tub after, or just allow my body to relax. So the hot cold approach is amazing to help release some of the stuff that's trapped into you. Grounding, as I've already mentioned, going for walks, sitting in the ground. Now, I'm in Canada and there's snow on the ground right now, so it's not very pleasant to be lying on the grass because it's freezing. Or, bring yourself and sit by a tree if you can, bring something to sit on and sit beside a tree for a period of time if you can. If you can't, grounding sheets or grounding mats. I have grounding sheets on my bed that have a cord that goes outside and connects down into the ground. So it's pulling out any excess energies that are coming off of me to help ground. Crystals are a wonderful way to ground. If you're wondering what type of crystals, I highly recommend hematite. Anything that's black or red are going to be root chakra to help bring your energy down. That's not so much body work, but it can help facilitate, and even holding on to crystals can help facilitate. Other body work that I highly recommend is yin yoga. And now I have a yin yoga playlist. I myself did a guided yin yoga wall routine for you guys in Practices with B. But I also have a yin yoga playlist there that has yoga with Cassandra, who's this lovely Canadian woman in Ottawa who has changed my life in so many ways. I have so much gratitude to all her yin yoga classes. I like hers because she doesn't talk a lot in them, which I find very distracting when I'm trying to do my yoga. So yin yoga is going to help you stretch out. Aligned walking. If you don't know what aligned walking is, I coined that term. It's a movement meditation to be in perfect posture. There is a playlist, or there's many aligned walking videos in the body playlist as well. So body work as well. I'm going to recommend breath work. And I think I have a breath work playlist. Doing some intense breath work is an excellent way to release some of those emotions, because we don't have a safe place to express anxiety, express panic, express rage, express fear. Our natural response when the emotions released, when that spore goes poof, and we release, is like, oh no, I don't want to be in this energy. I don't like this. This isn't good. This isn't how I should be responding. And we judge ourselves. And then the mind gets even worse, because it's like, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be thinking this. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to this or that. Mine's always, I'm going to get in trouble. And you know, that's my inner child that comes to the surface and thinks that, because people are like, why would your lawyers get you in trouble? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to get in trouble. Am I going to get in trouble? You know, fear of authority and getting you in trouble is built into my nervous system. That may be one that you resonate with, because if I did anything wrong, there was always the looming threat that I was going to get raged at or hit or isolated, or all three. And so this inner child, and that's why I say they're emotional flashbacks. It brings us back into a time period of when our child was experiencing that. It's like a release of a childhood feeling as opposed to a childhood memory. So emotional flashbacks are not the same as memories. They are emotional memories. They can be, not only do you get fearful of having that memory, so you have an emotional memory, your body responds, your mind starts spinning, going, oh my God, you need to shut that down, or you're going to get in trouble, or you're going to get yelled at. It's not safe. And so then that exacerbates the situation, and instead of saying to yourself, oh, I am having an emotional flashback. I need to have an emotional flashback. I need to release this. This is going to help me release this. This is a positive thing that's happening. So first, we have to allow it and retrain ourselves to say, it's okay, it's safe to allow this. So get yourself into a safe place. Obviously, at work, you don't want to be having an emotional flashback. If you are at work, in case of emergency list, make sure you have an in case of emergency list that you know what to do. Get yourself into the bathroom and get your hands run over under cold water as soon as possible, and isolate yourself and say, okay, we're going to have to deal with this when I get home. But for the time being, I'm going to calm this down, and I'm going to just keep running cold water under myself until I can get through this. Do some low, slow, deep breathing. That's not the time to get into fast, breath work. Then when you get home and you say, okay, this is really surfaced, I need to go to my room. I need to put on some soothing music. I need to, create an environment where I can feel safe to express and release this. And so then you're like, okay, I need to release this. How do I release this? That's when you do the breath work. That's when you say, okay, kids, leave mommy alone for the next hour. I'm doing some breath work. If you hear some screaming, shouting, yelling, crying, whatever, don't come in. I am safe. And you find somatic breathwork release. So Wim Hof has techniques. There is one in there that's warriors breathwork. That one's amazing. There's a good few in there. Otherwise, you can look for breath work to release trauma, and they guide you through. It's like a guided meditation, but they're guiding you through different breathing styles in between fast breathing and deep, long holds. So you'll hold for almost a minute, and then you go back into fast breathing again. And what happens is it'll help you release out of that soma. It'll help release it. So try that. Don't do fast breathing now if you're in the middle of an emotional, like a spiritual crisis. You want to ground some of that. If you're already hyper energies, you want to ground the energies. But if you're looking to release it, I can feel something is going to get in me, is going to blow, but I want to blow on my terms, in my space, in my way. That's when you use the breath work. You don't use the breath work when you're already in an exacerbated energetic state of panic. It's to help facilitate the releases. And then, of course, somatic movement is any types of movements that you can be intuitively guided to do. So that's why dance is particularly useful, or just you can find YouTube videos that are like somatic movement to release trauma. And these are tools and techniques that's going to help facilitate you into releasing so that you can be in new energies. Because as you cross that threshold of, I'm experiencing something new and it's uncomfortable and I don't know how to respond to it, you still need to utilize your tools that you've been using to survive. So we go through this stretch here of survival, and then we go through this stretch here of recovery. And now we go through this stretch here of moving into living life in a thriving energy. And I'm literally one day here. I've been in survival for 48 years. That's a long time to be in survival. I'm in recovery. Actually even like 50 years, but yeah, okay. I've been in recovery for like 3 years. 3 years of intense recovery, and now I just did one step where all of a sudden something's starting to go right for me, which I hope is the next phase in this journey, which is reintegration into society. Because on a spiritual awakening, you go along, you're asleep, you cope, you're doing whatever you need to do, and then boom, you're plummeted into this moment of wake up and bliss, and this is exciting, and I can change my life, and I can do anything, and then boom, that's taken away from you as you go down, deep dive into the dark night of the soul, and ego death, and up to the void, and down dark, up, down, down, and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy, this is trauma-inducing in itself, and that's because it's helping to eliminate the trauma. And then you're back up into kind of grounding, recovery, back into the void, grounding, recovery, and then you're like, okay, now I'm reintegrating a new reality. What? How do I reintegrate a new reality? One day at a time. You use a lot of the same tools that you used in your recovery. You go gently. You do all the body work. You do all of the healing work. And you be kind and gentle to yourself. So if you're saying to yourself things like you should think different thoughts, you need to shush and say, it's okay. We're doing okay. You are experiencing things you've never experienced before. You are in a new job. You are in a new relationship. You are in a new situation. I've never been here before. Why would I know how to do this? You know, if we think back to when we were a child, You got to fumble a little bit before you're walking steady. So walking for an infant looks like run, 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 fall down, run, 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 fall down. Okay, now I can steady myself a little bit. So as we are doing new things and accomplishing new things, we are going to run, 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 fall down, run, 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 fall down energetically until we're stabilized. So I wanted to share all this with you guys so that you know from my own personal experience that it is normal to not feel comfortable in the new right away. It is not a TV moment as much as you would like it to be, and you would like to just zing, zing, let's just have so much fun. It takes time to cultivate a new reality and be safe in that reality and feel like trust that everything is in fact working out for you, that you have put in the work and now you are stepping into something new. And that it is new. And so it's important to remind yourself that as you've done all this work before, that has come before, reality can't help but change. You cannot attract the same when you yourself are different. Look at my before pictures. I'm not that person. So therefore, my reality can't be that same reality. I have done too much work to create something new. So it has to be new. But I'm not familiar with the new. I'm not comfortable with the new. I don't know how to be yet in the new. I don't know who this new version of myself is. I don't know where I'm going because I've surrendered to God. And so I'm like, whatever happens today, happens today. Whatever happens tomorrow, I have no idea. That's old ego self. That's the old version of myself that had all these plans laid out in front of me, of my 1-year plan, at the end of the week plan, my 10-year plan, my retirement plan, my all these plans on an awakening get taken away from you when spirit comes along and makes you surrender. And you're like, okay, I surrender some more. Now who am I? What do you want me to be? Yes, I will remember for the rest of my days the day that I had a very profound mystical experience, and I said, dear God, I surrender. Let me be in service. Let me be useful. That's all I want. I'm not manifesting anything. I am letting go of the manifestation, because that is a spiritual egoic trap to say that I want this, I want that. I want what spirit wants for me. What that is, I don't know, because spirit is guiding this. I'm not. I have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring, or next year. Do I have, like, that would be amazing if this happened or that happened. It would be amazing if I could have a trauma center. Sure, that would be amazing. But I don't know. I don't know where spirit is guiding me. It's nerve-wracking because knowing is a trauma response, is making your world seem safer by knowing something. It's by making your world seem safer by having a semblance of control. I have joked all along this process that I would love nothing more than for God himself to send me off an email with an itinerary. Then I could relax. There is no itinerary, no matter how much I've asked. There is no itinerary. There was no syllabus for what I was going to go through on my awakening. There is only presence. And so it is in learning presence, in learning to trust, in learning faith, that we step into a whole new reality. So still in mind school, there is affirmation work that needs to be done. There is mindfulness that needs to be done. There is being in presence that needs to be done. There needs to be in the body that needs to be done. Body work, body work, body work, body work, until my body and my nervous system can go, oh, okay, I'm kind of used to this now. This is becoming a little bit more familiar to me. It's okay. I can relax into it. So I yesterday was experiencing first day-itis. When you step into new things, let yourself experience first day-itis and give yourself grace and gentleness while you step into a whole new reality. We're building the new earth. It's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel weird. And you know what? That's okay. I hope you found this video useful as a little bit of a forewarning for when you yourselves step out of your dark night of the soul and into reintegration and coming back into a whole new way of being. Because I know a lot of you out there know you have a divine mission, just like I do. And it's going to feel awkward, uncomfortable, and weird. With that said, thank you very much for the likes, the shares, and the supers. I look forward to seeing where this journey takes me, even though there's a lot of trepidation still trapped up inside of me. If you would like some help to discuss anything that I've brought up today, trauma release, thinking issues, body work, you want to deep dive into some of your things that you're struggling with, please feel free to reach out and book a one-on-one with me. The way to do that is to send me off an email at justbebeing@gmail.com. That is listed in the description of every single video I have. I've also had people reach out to me on Telegram. I've had people reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. Be Freedom is my handle over there. And I want to thank you all very, very much. If you don't hear back from me, that's because something's gone into a spam folder somewhere. And so try one of the other ways, but because I will get back in touch with you within an hour. So if you haven't heard back in touch with me, unless I'm with a client. So let's say if you haven't heard back from me within a couple of hours, there's something wrong. Unless I'm sleeping. See, look, my brain it's funny. Anyways, there's good. A little bit of laughter coming in today, a little bit of lightness. I do have an oracle read today at 4:44 p.m. to check in with the full moon energies that we are currently experiencing. Love to see you there, and you can get a card pulled for you. With that all said, peace out and peace in, peace, inner peace, inner peace, inner peace.